So hope everybody's doing okay. Is everybody doing all right? Okay, excellent. And in fact, we've got a fantastic group of people on today, as I am seeing right here. I see Nathan, I see Zav, and Zav, I want you to come on a little bit later on and introduce yourself. We've got Will, we've got Elaine, and a bunch of others. So hey, here we are. This is the second webinar so far. So really excited that we had such a successful first webinar last time, and many of you have been able to get through 3 of the modules so far. So that's really super exciting. So congratulations, round of applause for all of you for getting through that. That is great. So just as a quick little little update, who here has been able to get through 1, 2, or 3 of the modules? Maybe just make a little comment in the comment area. Corey Hartlen, all right, all 3. Nathan Skillen, 1, 2, not 3, no problem. Listen, Nathan, you are just rocking this thing, so all good. Elaine just finished 3, and Zav, I'm a bad human being. We'll catch up this week. Dude, you are not a bad human being. You are an amazing human being, and you're my brother, and I'm so stoked that you're coming. In fact, this is kind of what I want to do. As we roll through this, I'm going to be pulling people in from time to time to kind of say hello and introduce themselves and whatnot. And Zav, I'm also seeing our good friend Corey Hartlen, who's also a new member. Guys, welcome. This is just so fantastic that you've decided to join us here. Really, really excited to have you on. Thanks so much. I want you to also know that when I designed this, I was looking at this course to be more of a 12-week process. Okay, so but because we're all going to Mexico together, it's more, we get to compress it into 4 weeks, and that's just the way it is. So listen, don't be too hard on yourself if for one reason or another you haven't got to this, or you've only got to 1. That's all okay, because in the future, as I roll this thing out more properly, more appropriately, it's going to be a lot more time for people to kind of dig into this and really kind of learn from it by being able to digest instead of hurrying through it. But for those of you who've got through 1, 2, or 3 modules so far, bravo to you. So here is our agenda today. We're first of all going to do a quick preview of the modules 1, 2, and 3. Then we're going to open it up to questions from the community, which is all of you. Thank you so much. And by the way, we've got like 15 people on here right now. This is awesome. And at the very end, we're going to talk a little bit about the agenda for Mexico, because it's starting to come together. Part of the real essence of learning is learning together. So there's one thing to listen to me talking about my story and sharing knowledge and challenges and experiences as we built Hemmings House out. But then another major part of the learning is on these forums here, where we're able to talk in live webinar formats. So I really hope that you got some rich questions for us, which is really good. But the third part, of course, is sharing experiences together like we're going to do in Mexico. I've done this so many different times in different masterminds, at different live forum areas where you truly create lifelong friends with the people that you are learning with. So I'm going to start this off with like I did last time, with a famous quote. This famous quote is from one of our very own, Nathan Skillen, filmmaker, founder of Skillen & Co. from Vancouver, BC. So every week I'm going to be sharing a quote from somebody who wrote on the Facebook group. So Nathan, you won on this one, brother. I think it's because you're the first out of the gate, and it was awesome. So Nathan, keeping a regular stream of non-client, higher risk projects is important to push your boundaries. Experimenting, failing, and learning with every one of these projects is a great way to push the boundaries with your client work, but with less of the risk. So Nathan, you won the quote of the day, my friend. Congratulations. Thank you for that. That really does set the tone for what these first 3 modules were all about, doesn't it? It's we're talking about the struggle of startup, the failures that we go through from time to time, and actually all the time, but also to celebrate those wins. But when we're able to learn from fails and really be able to kind of pick ourselves back up, dust ourselves off, learn from the mistakes, we're able to get better and better at taking risks for our clients. And I love what Nathan was saying there, in the fact that yes, it's a good thing to take creative risks, maybe take some financial risk, just take some risks to make sure that our companies, as storytelling companies, are going to the next level and are pushing the boundaries. But the one thing you do not want to do is risk it on the dime of your client. You could do that a little bit, but that really comes with experience and practice. And Nathan, I really think that your quote embodies what the spirit of this whole movement is that we're building together, is how do we push the boundaries as professional storytellers, as filmpreneurs, but do it in a way that is not risking our partners, our financial partners, our customers, our employees, our business partners, and that sort of thing. Taking risk is important, but we have to do this in a way that is sustainable. That's what the Filmpreneur is all about. So module 1, the adventure begins. For those of you who've gone through module 1, we talked about what is your vision, what's your shared values, and what shaped your path. For this, it was really exciting to read some of the responses in email, but also on the Facebook. And I'd like to remind you, anytime you can share on that Facebook as you go through these, please do, and please comment on other people's, and definitely post as much as you possibly can. It's a closed group, so there's a safe place on the Facebook group. So really appreciate your help in contributing, because we are always going to share and learn together. So I'm just wondering, did anybody have any issues even thinking about what their vision was or what their values were? Especially when you're thinking about starting up your film company, or maybe you're a mid-career storytelling company and you haven't really yet figured out the essence, the vision, the values of your company. Does anybody have anything they want to share about that experience? And as we do that, I'm going to try to figure out ways to bring you guys in. So if somebody wants to put their hand up, I'm going to see if we can pull you guys in. In your chat box, folks, is there any comments on vision? Did you have any challenge? Was anybody not able to create a vision statement or value statement, and are probably still in that place where they want to work on that? Because it's really important, because it's something that I want to help you with if that's the case. Nathan, it's challenging to articulate your vision, your values, and ethics on short notice, even though you know them deep down already and would demonstrate them in the moment. Nathan, thank you for that, man. That is such a good point. And when I asked for feedback earlier, I got a whole bunch of great feedback so far. Nathan, you gave me a really nice piece of feedback for this course so far, which is how much time should we allow ourselves to kind of go through these modules? Because you're right, it's not like an overnight experience to create a vision and value statement and really articulate those, your ethical guidelines, your code of ethics. So what I'm hoping that we can do is, as we go through this over the next 3 weeks now, we're going to be talking about these little areas that we may not have had time to go over in these modules. But when we're in Mexico, we're really going to be able to create a tailored experience. For example, I'm now seeing that this is definitely one of the workshops that we want to put on. How do we articulate our vision and our value statement? How do we create a code of ethics? And by the way, Nathan shared his code of ethics on the Facebook. If anyone wants to take a look, please do. Very well put, Nathan. You are getting an A+ so far. In response to that, I also shared the Hemmings House Code of Ethics. And this Code of Ethics came from the Hemmings House Employee Manual. That's something a little bit later on in this course that we want to talk about. But when we bring in employees and new team members, it's absolutely critical to make sure that everybody understands before they sign the employee contract, to know what they're signing themselves into. What type of company are they going to start working for? What are the values? How do they behave? What is that code of ethics? So we've got a pretty robust manual, employees manual. We also have a contractor manual, and I'm going to share that with you all in an email. I'm going to send it to you. Feel free to go through it. It's one of those things that is updated often for us, and it's probably soon time to update ours at Hemmings House. But that's something else I also want to invite for all of you. Any of our documents at Hemmings House, any of them, if you want to see them, got templates, budgets, any of this sort of thing, just let me know. The point of this Filmpreneur isn't for me just to flap my lips and talk about my experiences. I really want to be able to share with you, and I want you to share with me and with everybody else, best practices. Because at the end of the day, we are building a community and a movement, if you will, of filmpreneurs, which are entrepreneurial filmmakers who are committed to making the world a better place. So thanks for that. And Nathan, I really do hope that we can spend a bit more time on this. And in fact, one-on-one, I'm really happy to go through this as well. And going back to the timing issue as well, like give yourself, if you could give yourself 3 hours a week on this, hopefully by tomorrow, the next 3 modules are going to be open for you. You could jump right into it and just take your time. And like I said earlier, don't be hard on yourself if you're not catching up, because down the road, this is going to be a module per week. Right now, we really are condensing it. So at least we can get a taste of everything before we enjoy each other's company in Mexico. Will. Okay. Hey, Will. So Will says, I've been lucky to have been pushed several times to create vision and value statements in my work and life, but it takes a lot of time, work, and mistakes to develop those. I also found it hard to balance the concrete practices and the ideas to take these broad statements that are often very lofty, nebulous, and artsy to how they will show up in my work. Yeah, Will, that's awesome, man, because it's like any vision statement or value statement or mission statement. A lot of companies just write them, they put them on their website and they walk away. And if you ask any employee what the statement is, nobody knows what it is because it's not living in the heart of the organization. And the same thing with the code of ethics and an employee manual and an employee handbook. All these sort of things are critical, but if it's just lip service, if you're just doing it because you got to check a box, it's useless. Why even spend the time putting this stuff together, right? So for Hemmings House, I spent a good solid day with Dave Vale. And Dave Vale is, for those of you who listen to our podcast at theboilingpointpodcast.com, Dave is my co-host, but he's also my executive coach. And we started our companies at the exact same time, 11 years ago. And he was my coach and I made films for him. So we had this good little thing going on. And Dave sat me down one day for a full day and we just slammed everything on the whiteboard that we care about as a company, as Hemmings House. And, you know, we put all these words up on the board, like, you know, creativity, high quality pictures, you know, business acumen, all this sort of thing. But there's a few little words in there that I kept coming back to that I didn't know if I was allowed to put up, but there were words like peace, love, respect, these type of more human side, you know, values. And he encouraged me to put them up. And I was like, is there a place in business for these words? And that was a legit conversation I was having with him. And he was like, man, whatever comes to your mind, put it up. Like anything that comes to your mind when you think about your company. So Will, when you're thinking about your video company as you're building it, what are some of those things that you really want to embody? Put 50 words up onto the whiteboard. When we started to group those words together in similar groups, we came down to this statement. It's this cluster of words where happiness, kindness, passion, and storytelling were all in the same cluster. And our vision statement, Hemmings House, ended up being a happy and kind world fueled by passionate storytelling. And for me, it's, you know, it's just a guiding light for us, because like everything that we do, are we making a business decision that's going to contribute to a happier world, a kinder world? Or are we telling stories that are doing the opposite? Are we telling stories that are going to add to more destruction in the world, or violence, or anything that is not giving of life in the world? Is that what we're contributing to? So for happy and kind world fueled by passionate storytelling, tells us that we actually believe in the power of storytelling so much that we see this as a method to create world peace. And that's legit in my heart and the heart of the people in my company. We know the power of story for negative, and we know the power of story for positive. And we at Hemmings House have created that vision statement, and we have lived to it. Every decision we make, does this contribute or detract from a happier and kind world? So thanks for that from Nathan and Will for sharing some of that. And you know, as we go on through this course, folks, this is what it's all about. Again, I'm not the expert here. I've got 11 years, actually close to 20 years now, but 11 years with Hemmings House building this. So I've got a lot of bumps and bruises to share, and that's exactly what we're trying to do. Before I go to the next slide, I also want to express too, we had a great meeting today at Hemming's house about the fact that we're doing more and more work around North America. And, you know, I've been talking with you, Will, and a number of other people, Nathan as well, really after this experience of going through Filmpreneur and meeting each other in person for the first time, a lot of us in Mexico, we're going to be able to create bonds and relationships that's going to actually enter into the professional realm as well. Because my intention is to be able to work with as many of you as absolutely possible and vice versa. Do you see what I'm doing? I'm kind of hacking this a little bit in a way so we can create a network that we can do some amazing things together. So I'm just excited about developing more professional partnerships with all of you. So yes, you can see me as a coach in the Filmpreneur world, but really we are partners in what we're doing together, folks. So very excited about that. I'm going to go up to our next slide. Good little MMA shot here. Module 2, ain't get no respect. So this was the module where we talked about, you know, all the bullying that I personally went through as an adult. You know, you may remember part of that story where I was saying, you know, as a child, I had a very fortunate upbringing, and the fact that I don't remember ever being bullied. You know, it was, I just had a really good friend group, etc. But I always had a heart for people who were bullied. And there's a number of reasons why I had that heart, but it was just one of those things. It was interesting because I could understand empathy without having to go through that experience. But I did go through it as an adult when I was on feature film sets, which of course now we're seeing unravel with the Me Too and the No More movements. And, you know, I only got a small little slice of a taste of that. But when I quit the feature film industry after 3 years, I remember exiting it saying, you know, if I was ever to redesign this thing, I would do it in a way where there was a loving experience on set, where creative people could feel like they're supported, and there's a spirit of mentorship, not a spirit of shame-based learning. I don't know if that is an experience that anybody else here has had before, but this whole concept of shame-based learning, you know, if anybody has that experience, does anybody want to share? Yeah, big software has its trolls too. Yeah, Corey, I am sure that is the case. This is what we talked about in module 2, learning through mentorship. Failure is learning, and it's so critical to create a code of ethics. For me, as I was able to kind of get through that experience, and by the way, working on feature film sets was awesome as well. I met lifelong friends, gained life-lasting skills and experiences, and it helped me create Hemming's House. So I have to give honor to that experience as well. But I have to tell you that as a creative person, to be crushed on a daily basis, doing 16-hour days, and having that culture of bullying, it just wasn't for me. You know, as a creative person, it kind of sucks that spiritual side out of the excitement of being in the movie business, right? So when I had the opportunity to build my own company, I was like, I got to create some sort of document that outlines the code of ethics that our company has. And you know what? We have seen it a few times where people have come into our company, whether they're contractors or even employees, and they didn't fit that code of ethics despite reading them, being gone through them. And you know what? Eventually people will trip up, and if they don't follow the values, they have to go. I got to tell you, firing people sucks. And it's one of those things that, you know, it's a heartbreaking thing to do. But when somebody is actually, I see my brother's on the line here. Hey, Mark. Mark, I remember coached me through this once when there was somebody we had to get rid of because they were doing something unethical financially. And I just remember having a hard time figuring out how to get rid of them. And I remember, Mark, you mentioned to me, you know, you got to protect the baby, and the baby is the business. And if the baby isn't being nurtured and protected, then the baby's not going to live. And that's a horrible analogy, but you get the point. The business is the baby. And if the core values of that baby are not being nurtured, then your business is going to fall apart. It's just the way it is. So this stuff is as critical as having a strong balance sheet. It really, really is. Does anybody have, oh yeah, Corey, love the Pixar story. Corey, that is such a good example. I'm thinking you're talking about Creativity Inc., perhaps, which is the Pixar book. If so, if anybody hasn't read that book, please do. It's fantastic. Hey, Elaine, why don't you pop on for a second, and maybe you can articulate that a little bit more if you're witnessing it. So Elaine is a fabulous co-host of the webinar tonight. What are you seeing on the comments here, Elaine?
What am I saying? Oh, I just love the chatter. So I'm all, my ADHD is having a great time here. So no, everybody's really, really engaged, but it's great because people are giving us notes if things aren't working. So that's wonderful. But it's nice to see that, you know, from the modules, right, bringing that information in. So so thanks everybody for, you know, digging in, and wherever you are, it's exactly where you are supposed to be.
That's awesome, Elaine. Thank you. And pretty soon, Elaine, you rock. Thank you. Pretty soon, we're going to pull Elaine back in, and she's going to go over some of the really exciting things we're going to do in Mexico together. And that's coming up really soon. And just like last week, we're going to keep this webinar to an hour to respect everybody's time. Thank you, Elaine. And if everybody got that comment from Nathan about how we can all see each other's chats, again, Nathan says, everyone change the to thing in chat to all panelists and attendees so we can all see each other's comments. Thanks a lot, man. I appreciate that. Just do a quick little review on what our third module was all about, an ocean of opportunity. So in this particular module, we talked about, and some of you haven't got there yet, and like I said earlier, it's all good. Don't beat yourself up. You will get to it. And even, you know, I'm totally giving everybody a get out of jail free card. Even if by the time we get to Mexico, you haven't gotten through all of the modules, we will get the spirit of every single one of these modules on the beach together. We truly will. So again, one of the many purposes of doing this whole thing is getting feedback for timing, for flow, for content. And so don't beat yourself up, but get through as much of the stuff as you can. So in this particular module, we talked a little bit about my experience after quitting the film industry, finding myself on a sailboat in the Caribbean and sailing all over and trying to find myself, and really realizing that sailing cargo through the Caribbean and South America was very similar work to working on a film set. It was very tactile, and there's a lot of gears and ratchets and ropes and all these sort of things. So it was a very natural transition for me. But what happened for me while I was down there is I learned a new way of doing business from Captain Paul, who was my captain. And we sailed by the power of the wind, cargo all through the islands in the Caribbean in a way that was good to Mother Earth. It was, you know, like I said, we lose minimal diesel. It was mostly wind, okay? And the thing that we were doing is we're sending cargo to underserved populations and communities. So we were being good to people. And my Captain Paul was building this business over a period of 35 years, and it was a profitable business, taking care of people like me, taking care of himself and his loved ones and his community. I learned about triple bottom line businesses from Captain Paul. He didn't know it. There's no such thing in business lexicon at the time of a triple bottom line business, but he was living it, and it was truly that experience that sent me onto this journey to come back and not quit the film industry, but to start a new version of it, a bubble, a little love bubble of the film industry, where we are going to use our film storytelling skills to create positive change in the world. And I'm going to do it in a way where I make good profit to take care of my people, take care of my family, take care of my staff, take care of my community, give back. I'm going to do that, keep it profitable, but do it in a way that's good for people and has a minimal negative impact on the world. Now, or on the environment. Now, I got to tell you, the amount of airplanes I travel on in a year, it's just ridiculous. It's stupid. It's like my carbon footprint is off the hook bad. I am completely acknowledging this to you all right now. But we are doing something really exciting. Just as a side, before we go through the rest of the slide here, we are doing some really exciting things to offset our carbon. And in the Filmpreneur process here, we don't really talk about that yet, but sometime down the road, I do want to do a little sub course talking about how can we offset our negative impacts on the planet. One of the things we're doing is buying into this massive forest, sustainably managed forest called Community Forest International. And they are literally offsetting all the tons of carbon that we produce for all the airplanes. We track every flight that we go on, every kilometer that we drive, and we do this on a yearly basis. And then we spend money to buy more forest in a place that is actually measured for carbon offsetting. So we're going to go deep into the triple bottom line stuff, environmental impacts, social impacts, and story impacts down the road. I just want to give you a little teaser on that, because part of my founder story started back in the Caribbean on the ocean with Captain Paul. And, you know, he started me on this thing where in a place where I really learned how to honor the earth. I've always been an environmentalist as a kid. Loved the nature, loved the woods, loved animals, but I was certainly never an activist, nor do I consider myself an activist today, but I do consider myself a conscious steward of the planet. And I think us as filmpreneurs, we have to think about that. Yes, we're a relatively low impact type of company, all of us as film storytellers, but to do what we do best, there's a good chance we have to travel. So I want all of us to just kind of tuck that in the back. And if I didn't have that founder story or connect the dots, maybe I wouldn't be doing that today. So module 3, I really want to encourage people to think about the adventures that you go on. How do you document them, whether it's with pen, photography, film? Documenting your own founder story is really important to inspire other people, inspire customers, inspire employees. Going back to that whole vision and values piece that we talked about at the beginning, knowing where you came from as a company is critical. And I got to tell you, it's sticky. When you start sharing your story outwards to your customers, whether it's, you know, you might get invited to do a TEDx in your local community, or you put on a workshop or throw a party, or you write a blog, you write in the newspaper, all these sort of things to let people know who you are, where you came from. That's some of the best marketing you're ever going to do. And it's absolutely free. And we're going to talk a little bit about that, like many other things, a little bit later on in this very webinar. Does anybody have any questions or comments on that? Like I'm taking a look here. Elaine, we love working with you too. Thank you. And oh my gosh, look. So we have Chris. Hey, Chris. It's amazing. This is what Chris says. It's amazing to me how similar our stories are, Greg. Chris, I can't wait to hear more about yours, man. And last week we had troubles getting you onto the webinar to introduce yourself. So we're going to try to fix that this time. Hopefully the microphone thing works this time. John, is Captain Paul still hiring? I think he is, but God bless him. Captain Paul's up in heaven. So there's a very good chance he's sailing the heavenly clouds, delivering cargo to the far untouched reaches of heaven. So we may have to wait until the afterlife to see, but I will certainly send Paul some some questions through good prayer. Lead bowl perhaps. Elaine, that's funny. Okay, I'm hoping everybody's reading these comments. These are great. Darn, I saw an awesome trip. Yeah, okay, that's good, John. Don't worry. One of these days, we're going to trip up and we're going to be able to see Captain Paul. Yeah, so listen, now is, if anybody has any questions on this, and by the way, talking about TEDx, I had the absolute pleasure and honor of being asked to do yet another TEDx. Sounds like I'm bragging. I'm not. I just got to tell you, for me, doing TEDx's, this is my third one I just did. Yeah, it's really exciting to me because I am trying to be a competent public speaker. So I go to Toastmasters as much as I can. I say yes to as many public speaking engagements as possible. But there's something about TED that it's just like, it forces you to try that much harder because you know it's going to be put on their website and all this. So anyway, I told the story of Captain Paul on my last TEDx, and it should be released really soon. So as soon as it is, I'll be putting it to the course so you guys can check it out. Yeah, and like I said, if anybody has any more comments on that, please do let me know in the comments form. Okay, we're blowing through this, folks. Thank you so much for being here with us today. And we are going to slam back over to the slide deck. And we're going to meet Elaine. All right. So Elaine, why don't you unmute yourself and pop on and let's talk a little bit about what we're going to experience in Mexico, because, and before I pass it over to you, we wanted to design the in-person experience to be literally the in-person version of what we're doing here online. And just a little bit of foreshadowing, we're going to be filming all of the sessions that we do in Mexico and then sliding it back into the course. So everything that we do, you don't have to take notes or anything. We're capturing it all for you. Many of you have offered to speak and actually deliver workshops. That's going to go back into the course. And any of you beta users, you've got lifetime access to the Filmpreneur 101 course. So this is going to build month after month, year after year. It's going to get heavier and heavier, and it's going to be a really beautiful work of content as time goes on. But we don't want to exhaust people either, because networking and connection, surfing, swimming, pina coladas, yoga, we got to do all this stuff too. So in the mornings, we've got a block of every morning of programming, and every afternoon is open to play, or open to network, or open to sit down one-on-one with me or with each other. However we want to do it, it's wide open. I'm going to pass it over to you, Elaine. You take it away. Let people know what to expect, and maybe a few examples of what we have coming up.
Okay. Well, hello everybody. Can you see, Greg? Am I on screen? No.
You will be in 1 sec, but we can hear you. So
you just have my old picture. Love that.
Oh yeah, I found it on the internet. I hope you don't mind.
I know. Yeah, he got it off the internet. So just so that you can see what we're doing. So it's like spreadsheet heaven. Right. I'm a past professional organizer who turned into a producer and loves spreadsheets. So Greg and I have gone through this lovely spreadsheet, and we just keep adding more fun stuff in every day. But so we're all going to arrive on Wednesday pretty much at the same time, and we're going to welcome you all in the best way we can to Mexico. We're going to have an opening circle and dinner that night, and then we'll have something special every day at sunset. So I don't know if Greg mentioned that, but sunset, well, in addition to sunrise, are my two favorite times of the day. So you'll see me oogling or googling whatever on the beach there. So that's Wednesday. We're keeping it a little bit light, but lots of connection time for everybody to get to know each other, because we're all talking back and forth, and we see our flat Stanley version of us on the internet, on social media, but then we're going to see like the real live personalities. So this will be fun. It'll be wild and crazy. Then Thursday we're going to start with some yoga breakfast, that sort of thing, and then we're going to go into some sessions. And so it's pretty much the same format every day, Thursday, Friday, and Saturday. We've got a morning, not overpacked, but really full of incredible sessions. So I'm just going to pick one from Thursday to tell you about. So Corey's going to do from linear production workflow to collaborative workflow. I'm really looking forward to that. That's right up my alley. And then, just a second here, I took pictures of all these. Where are they? Pictures, because I can't maneuver two things at once on there. Okay, so that's Thursday. Friday, a little bit more. We're going to have, so Katie Wallace is going to do some storytelling stuff. So I'm pretty excited about that. I think that crafting your story, the more substance you have up front, like, and as Greg said in the webinars, it's, in the olden days, we'll use the air quotes, in the olden days of film, when you had film, you had to be really careful about what you were doing. But now with storytelling, you can film everything. The cameras can run all the time, which makes it really difficult for pulling out the story, right? And for your editors, you want to make it easy for your editors. So Katie's going to help us with that. And then on Saturday, we have a panel, which is fabulous. So we've got, who do we have on the panel, Greg? We've got.
Well, it's funny. It's funny. You can tell them, but like, I think there's a number of people here that don't know they're on the panel, but you tell them. You tell them, Elaine.
Right, I'm going to tell them. So you're going to be voluntold. Is that what we call it? You're voluntold in a very lovely, nice way. So we've got Will and Nathan and Chris and Tasha, and moderated by, is it Sarah that's moderating it,
Sarah
Greg?
Blackhorn from Vancouver, yeah.
Right, so Sarah is there with a whole other group of people. So we're pulling Sarah from, what's the name of the other group?
Well, our whole group is the Social Venture Network,
Yes.
Hospitality Suite Retreats. So these other businesses that are our friends connected with us, there's some crazy talent and crazy, and we're going to meet one in a second who's joining us here. And Sarah is one of them. She's going to moderate this panel on diversity and inclusion in the film space.
Yes. Yeah. So that, and very, very timely, important, you know, stuff that at Hemming's house, you know, when I'm doing production, it's always front and center, right? You know, how can we get more diversity and inclusion in, you know, in our filmmaking? So that Saturday, that's, you know, I kind of pulled that out. And then Sunday, oh, we're all going to be sad, but then excited to go out and start a new chapter, right? So on Saturday, John Simon's going to do how any business can be a storytelling business. And John's story is really interesting. And we connected a whole bunch of dots the other day in John's office, didn't we, Greg? That was like wild, right? You know, he's like, oh yeah,
As
how
we
do we
do
do that? Right. And then we're going to, and then Greg's going to share what's next with the Filmpreneur. And then we're going to close, pack up, leave, and you know, just have incredible memories, but we're going to have so much recorded. Like it's going to be incredible because we're going to get different people filming, and so you've got different perspectives, right? Because that's the thing about storytelling and filmmaking is if we could all go to the same beach with a camera, and the story that we bring back is going to be completely different based on our own individual perspectives. So it's going to be, I know.
It's gonna be just perfect. It's gonna be great.
It's
So,
gonna be.
Elaine, thank you for that. And just so you know, folks, if anybody has any questions, Elaine's gonna send an email to everybody so you've got her contact. Elaine's gonna be asking you for things like travel details. When do you get in? When do you fly out? Elaine's gonna remind you they're just scorpions. And apparently, what are you bringing, Elaine, to keep them wet?
I'm bringing a little bit of frankincense.
Frankincense. Apparently, scorpions don't like that. So this is really exciting and critical. And I also want to thank our filmies who have put their hand up to help us do this. And nobody is coming here to work. We're all coming to consume with each other and share. But a lot of us, myself included, are volunteering to press record on cameras so we can capture all this. So Elaine, thank you so much.
Thank you. Thanks.
What I'd like to do before we go to the questions is there's a few people that we didn't get to meet last week. And I'm going to start by bringing in Chris.
Well, my name's Chris Harrigan, and I've been in this business also for nearly 20 years. And 4 years ago, I started a company called Cinetech Productions. And I don't know, I've been mainly working in documentaries for my whole career, although I've done television and I've worked on film sets and I've done those things too. And things really got interesting really in the last few years as far as travel and stuff like that. I've gotten to go to the jungle and make a film about shamanic medicines such as ayahuasca and San Pedro and different things like that. And also where my passion really started, well, I mean, I was always passionate about my productions or whatever productions I was working on. However, as an independent filmmaker, a lot like your story, I found a story where I had to become everything: the director, the cameraman, the editor, all those kind of things. And I had to develop a style that worked with that. And also, a lot of the independent films I wanted to make, I didn't think I'd be able to get funding for, so I just made them. I just went out and I made them. And sometimes they costed me in different ways. And yeah, I don't really know what else to say, but and recently I went to Mexico, and I became very interested in cryptocurrencies and that sort of thing, and what's going on in the world as far as that space, the blockchain and those kind of things. So that's a film I'm working on right now that I'm hoping to collaborate with some crypto rich people who I'm hoping are going to produce this. So I'm kind of trying to find different avenues, and I did do some crowdfunding a while back for one of my independent films, and that turned out good and successful, and I got the money and stuff. So I just had to find ways to make it work, you know, borrowing gear, doing whatever I had to on my own time, and yeah.
That's awesome, man. And Chris, thank you too for putting your hand up for talking to all of us about what you've learned with cryptocurrencies. And the fact of the matter is, people, the future of financing is going to be, if we don't understand what's happening with blockchain and how cryptocurrencies work and all this sort of thing, we're going to be missing out. So why don't we use this opportunity to learn about this and also other alternate ways of funding our films. So Chris is going to is going to actually present a half-hour presentation for us. Thanks for that, brother. Really appreciate it. And don't you love all the voluntelling that's happening here? So this is the type of rich shared experiences we have with each other. So Chris, thank you so much, man. I'll get you to put yourself on mute, and I'm going to pull in another new face in. Okay, so this particular person who is popping on here in 1 second is, I'm going to promote you to panelist, is a guy named Cory Hartlen, not Cory Hart, but Cory Hartlen. But I'm sure this guy can wear some pretty sweet sunglasses in the middle of the daytime. So Cory, welcome in. Listen, I can't do you justice for introducing yourself because I want to straight out of the gate say that you're a stand-up comedian, you're an internet marketing professional, a social media, kingpin. There's all this amazing things I can say about you, but why don't you give the rest of the crew your intro?
Man, you know what? It's so exciting to be here, Greg. You're one of those people that whenever I run into, I just gravitate towards you. So this really happened so serendipitously. I couldn't even, for us to do and go to Mexico together, I don't think it could have happened a better way because I'm unemployed. And, and basically in December, I looked around, I've done the software thing, was lucky enough to be part of Radian 6 and Salesforce and worked at a number of different software companies. And then I got to a point where it was, why? I don't feel like I'm doing good and I want to do good. And finally decided to send you an email a while ago. I've been in film with Caltex, helping them trying to get their software into the enterprise space for film production management, among other things, even video game planning and design. And on the marketing side at Salesforce, I was still producing a lot of my own videos, right? Whenever product team would kick out a new bell and whistle, it was, oh, Cory's going to do a little video for us. So I've been kind of dancing around this industry for a while, and then you mix in my hobby of being a stand-up comic, it just sort of mixed nicely. So when you went, hey, I've got this crazy idea, hey, I love crazy ideas and couldn't be happier to be here. It's going to be super exciting, and I'm extremely jazzed.
Well, Cory, we are so stoked to have you. And for everybody else's enjoyment, Cory has offered to slam down an after supper set for us on one of the nights. So Cory, thank you for that, man. That's going to be awesome.
No problem. It should be
cool. Okay, well, thanks a lot, brother. So if you can prop yourself on mute, we've got Will, and Will was able to jump on last week just for a few minutes. So Will, I'm going to bring you on. Just why don't you say a couple words here, brother, just to see if I've got you on here.
Hey, can you hear me?
There we go. There we go. Will, welcome aboard, man.
Thank you. My name's Will. I met Greg pretty randomly through a close mutual friend, kind of pseudo cousin that I reconnected with after not seeing him for about 20 years. And currently, I guess I graduated school about 1 year ago now from Colorado College, where I made my own major in ecological journalism and media. So a lot of ecological biology, film, got to study abroad in Prague, do actual 16 millimeter film program there. Made a thesis film on how goats can be used. I guess a woman who uses goats as a form of ecological weed control. She herds 500 to 2,500 goats all around the US. And now I'm kind of trying to figure out where I want to go with my film and storytelling career.
That's awesome, man. And Will, I got to tell you, man, the group of people that we've got coming down is exactly the type of people you got to get plugged into, because like I said at the beginning, this is not one of these type of arrangements where it's like a big pyramid with me at the top dripping knowledge down by any means. I'm the host that throws parties. That's it. Everybody else that's connected here is going to be able to work with each other, hire each other, collaborate. And don't forget, 17 now, you first 17 and 34 and 50 and 60 and 100, you guys are at the beginning of this. And if you want to stick through with us as we grow this, we are going to be the founders of a very significant community. And I'm saying this with absolute conviction. This is what we are doing. We're building a little bit of a tribe, and I'm so happy that you're investing in this, Will. It's going to pay off in so many different ways, brother. So thanks for coming on, man. So I did get a few questions throughout this last week as people went through, and here's just a few of the highlight ones. And please remember, if I don't touch on your questions here, we will throughout the length of this course, and certainly in Mexico. So please keep them coming. And here's a really important piece I have to say. On the Facebook group, I've pinned the thread that says questions. I've pinned it at the very top of the thread. So if you have any questions at all, whether it's logistical questions about Mexico, technical questions about why my Zoom thing isn't working, or any of these other things, just go to that Facebook group and I'll definitely see that's the quickest way. But even more importantly, and I hear Zav's mic on, I think, and I'm going to pull him in a second. Even more importantly, ask questions that you want us to design courses around. If you want to design any or get really like legit answers to, if I don't have the answers, I'm going to find them. Okay. So let's use this as an experience to ask whatever deep question, even if it's not related to the module we went through. Please do. I'm really excited to bring my other brother from another mother, Zav Dubois. Zav is one of my best friends in the whole world, collaborator, calling, I think, right now from his beautiful property in Yosemite. Zav, are you on, brother?
Hi, everybody. Well, Greg is my brother. If we have a picture of us where our friends got confused who was whom. He's obviously much more attractive than me, but there you go. Yeah, so, I'm just excited for this course. I started out in television over at a cable network 25 years ago, and I was on the launch team for some stuff. And I've just really wanted to figure out a way where you can use content, commerce, and community to drive people in a positive direction. And so my interest in being in this course is really discovering new ways to tell stories. We have 2 neuroscientists who work on our staff, and we're really using them to explore how do you use visual arts, how do you use audio, how do you use tricks that marketing has used for a long time to manipulate people in a negative way to buy crap and stuff we don't need and negatively impact our quality of life. How do we use tricks in neuroscience now to not manipulate so much, but I mean, it is a form of manipulation, drive people to make better choices for their own lives. We don't have a pathway for how people do that, like what that looks like, but we do think we can support people to get more confident about who they are in the world and use the media arts to support them in making better decisions.
God, it's so good, Zav. And it's just it's that higher calling for us, and, I've been attracting as many people who we can, who are really talented in storytelling and growing business. But for us to be able to bring that together as filmpreneurs and to use these gifts and these skills to, instead of using the word manipulate, but maybe inspire a better way of being, and that's exactly what you've been doing, Zav. And I've been really thrilled to be, alongside you in some of that journey. And I know you're going to be a big inspiration to everybody on this team. And I hope that you're able to take in as much of their inspiration as I know you'll be giving out. So thank you so much for being with us, man.
Thank you.
Yeah. Okay. So here's just a couple of questions, like I said, that popped up in the last few modules. How to create a vision statement. Elaine, I'd like it, if you don't mind, taking a note on that we should actually devote a little bit of our Mexico time into a fast track into, creating vision statements. So everybody can walk away with one. Even if you already have one, let's make sure it's up to date. We're going to find some time to do that. Employee manual, we talked about that already. I'm going to send everybody the Hemmings House one. This is not by any means the be-all, end-all employee manual, but feel free to take it, steal it, copy, paste it, whatever you need to do. Any of it that works for your business. And not all of you are film companies either. Like John, we've got you and Marco in travel story companies. My employee manual, it's it goes across sector. So that's one of many resources I want to share with all of you. So I'll be sending that out to you guys really soon. How much time to devote to the course? You know, that was a really good question. Like initially when I designed this, I started to design it. It's a 12-week experience. But it took me so long to put this thing together that 12 weeks turned into 6 weeks, turned into 4 weeks, which is where we are now. And we just didn't have time. And I was really hoping that we, at least many of us at the very least, would have a chance to get through all of the modules before we meet, just so we can go deeper and continue to connect on the issues that we really care about, so you can walk away with value. I'm getting a ton of value for you all coming through this course and giving me feedback. I want to make sure you get value and walk away and are able to continue growing your sustainable film company. Another question that we had was thought leadership versus old-fashioned sales approaches. And that came from you, Nathan. Nathan, that was awesome. And you were right. Coming up in, I believe, module 5 is a full section on thought leadership. And I'm really excited as well to let you know that I've got 2 other courses that we've developed that are going to be launched in. One of them is completely, it's a 4-module mini course on thought leadership. We talk about podcasting, blogging, public speaking, putting on events, everything that we do at Hemmings House when we spend $0 on marketing, but put all this effort into developing long-lasting relationships through content marketing. And your question to me, we will go deeper into, Nathan, another time very soon, which is how much time do we devote to being our own community builders when we really should be selling projects and making money as quickly as possible? The answer is you got to do both. At the end of the day, I used to own a brick and mortar company. It was called Bath Fitter. We did bathroom renovations, believe it or not. Can't wait to tell you about that story sometime. And the rule of thumb there was if you weren't spending up to 30% of your estimated sales for the month on marketing, then you weren't gonna make your targets. That is huge numbers. 30%, you know, like how do you do a business around that? So the traditional brick and mortar companies, they are spending between 15 and 30% on marketing. So I like to say, let's spend closer to 0 on marketing, but let's put the same amount of effort, like a 15 to 20 to 25% of our CEO effort into building community around what we are doing. Really excited and to share this. I've been doing it for a decade now. It's been working quite well. That's all I can say. But in the meantime, brother, you need to get sales to the pipe. So it's a dual prong approach. We're going to go much deeper into that a little bit later on. And with that, we're coming to an end. But I don't want to close off without any last questions. Okay, so I've got the chat scroll open. Does anybody have any last things they want to say? I can even pull you in so we can hear your beautiful voices. Just let me know. Put a little note here in the text if anybody's got any closing words. Okay, Chris is typing. I was going to say maybe it's a good time for me to tell a joke while Chris is typing, but I don't do jokes very well. But Corey, unmute yourself. Give us one joke as Chris is writing his question.
No pressure at all.
That's what I do, man.
I've got a funny one about architecture.
Let's hear it.
It's really quick. I'll do what I can. 3 guys sitting on top of a skyscraper, brand new, they're like downtown metropolis. And the first guy looks at the second guy and says, "It's crazy what they did with the architecture of this building. If you jump off the north face, the wind is so high, it'll actually blow you back up to the top of the roof." Second guy calls BS. Sure, what does the first guy do? Has to prove his point, and he jumps. Second guy says, "That's incredible." Because sure enough, the first guy flies right back up on top of the roof, blew him right back up to the top. Second guy's mind is blown. He can't even believe what he's saying. He says, "You do that one more time, I'll do it." So sure enough, first guy stands to the ledge, jumps off. Sure enough, seconds later, whoosh, right to the top of the building again. Second guy says, "That's it, I'm doing it." They've been partying all day. They've been up there hanging out, taking the tour of the city, and jumps off, lands 140 stories on the sidewalk below. Third guy looks at the first guy and goes, "Superman, you're a real fucking prick when you're drinking."
Okay, thank you. I am laughing. Everybody else is laughing too, I'm sure. We can't hear them. Corey, thank you. Okay, with that, I'm going to close with a lovely quote from Chris. Chris says, not a question. I just want to say that everything I saw in the modules so far, he can relate to his own career. That is awesome, man. Thank you for sharing that, Chris, because that's the point, you know. And again, a lot of the stuff I'm talking about is stuff that a lot of you already know. Sometimes it's a good refresher, a good reminder of where we're going. But you are all co-creating something very special for many people in the future with me and with us and our team. So thank you. And Elaine says she's going to be reaching out to everybody in the next few days. Looking forward to connecting with you all. Elaine, thank you for all your help. And with that, everybody, have a loving evening, and we will see you online on the Facebook. Please engage. Please put your homework onto the Facebook. Everything is opening up either today or tomorrow, the next 3 modules. And I'll be posting this onto the Facebook as well, as for anybody who didn't get a chance to see it. So thanks again, everybody. Thanks, Mark, for hopping on. Thanks, John. Thanks, Zav. Thanks, Chris. Thanks, Corey. Thanks, Elaine. Thank you, Will. Thank you, Katie. Thank you, Marco. Nathan. Oh my gosh, this is like the polka dot door. All right, everybody, have an awesome night. Bye-bye.